Hey guys, I've had this store open for 30 days and it's time to talk about what sold. So I really want to do this video because I love these what sold in the past month videos, and I thought it'd be really interesting for people to see what sold in my brand new store, because being a brand new reseller is a lot different than somebody who already has an established presence where the algorithms already know you. Maybe you have repeat customers. With a brand new seller, you get an idea on what's selling just based on the items alone, without any algorithmic boost, without any sort of reputational thing. You get an idea of what's going on. So I'll get into how much I made as well as the total number of sales, but I'll just kind of walk you through it as we're going. I'll show you the pieces. Okay, so I opened the store on November 10th. That was a Monday, and that was Poshmark. I was only on Poshmark at first. My first sale was on Saturday, November 15th, and that was the Notorious B.I.G. Biggie Smalls Gold Crown sweatshirt in a size medium. That took me 4 days to sell once I listed it, and it sold for $20 on Poshmark. My second sale was, looks like about 6 days later. It was Friday of the next week, November 21st. And that was a 3-pack of Maidenform shapewear bodysuits size 2X. I sold the 3-pack lot for 20 bucks on Poshmark, and it only took me 2 days to sell once I listed it. So the first week I had the first sale, the second week I had that second sale come in. I was like, okay, well, I'm getting about a sale a week. It's good, stuff is happening, but I was just like, gosh, I gotta kind of pick up the pace, because, you know, my bin sourcing is, well, depending on how much I spend at the bins, it's anywhere from, $40 to $100 a week. It's like, you gotta sell some more. So I was very happy when my next sale came 3 days later, Monday, November 24th. I sold my pair of Oboz men's Mendenhall low nubuck shoes, size 13, and I sold those for 30 bucks. So, the biggest sale I'd had to date, sale number 3. And those only took me 4 days to sell once I had listed them. Then came my fourth sale the very next day. I was like, oh gosh, this is going well. Tuesday, November 25th, I sold my pair of Chico's size 1 navy pull-on stretch pants. So these were interesting. I had them listed at $25. The buyer offered me $15, and then I countered with $20 and she accepted. Those pants took me 9 days to sell. So far the longest it took to sell something, but that makes sense because I've had the store up longer now. 9 days is still pretty brisk, I hear. These are all going to be pretty brisk sales because my store is new. I haven't had time for the listings to age up. Alright, so that was the 25th, the Tuesday. Now this was right before Thanksgiving, so I put a lot of new listings out on Wednesday and Thursday. No offers, no sales, nothing like that. But the day after Thanksgiving, Black Friday, I actually had 2 sales. It was my first 2-sale day. So on Friday, November 28th, I sold my Steve Madden retro daisy bucket hat with the neon flower power print. I sold that for $14, and it took me 12 days to sell. And I'll tell you guys, when I sold that bucket hat, I was on the moon, because that was not something that I've been told to look out for by Reseller YouTube. That was a style pick. I saw it, thought it was funky, kind of retro, kind of 60s, 70s, Y2K all wrapped up in one. Knew Steve Madden was like a solid brand, so Posh likes to reward the brand stuff. I said, I'll do it, it's light. And lo and behold, it was one of my first things that sold. So that was cool. That made me feel good about my taste. And to cap that off, also on Black Friday, I also sold my hot chocolate design cherry Mary Jane shoes, size 37. They're from the very first sourcing video on this channel. I actually got those not from the bins, but from a Goodwill store that I went out and I saw. I sold those for 28 bucks, and they took 18 days to sell. So that's the new record, those 2 things, for how long things are taking to sell, which makes sense. The store got older. All right. Then just a couple days later, on Sunday, November 30th, I sold some hiking boots, my Merrell Moab 3s. They're men's 11.5, 11 and a half. I only had to have those up for 4 days before they sold, and I received $40 for them. So at that point, that was the most expensive thing I had sold on the store. Very pleased about that. So that was Sunday, November 30th. A few days later, on Tuesday, December 2nd, I had another 2 sale day. It was actually a couple of plus size tops. They were both going to different buyers. The first was a Roman's burnt oversized button-up shirt in a size 3X. That only took 1 day to sell. So to date, this was the fastest listed thing that sold right away. I got $12 for it. It was kind of a lower offer from the buyer, but I felt pretty good about it. I was like, yeah, okay, I'll sell this. I think I had it up for like 20, something like that. But you know, I would have countered with, I would have given her probably 15 for an offer anyway. So 12, I was like, okay, I'm not going to quibble over a couple of bucks. I really, at this point, I wanted to get some more sales on the store and kind of feed the algorithm. I'm sure I'll get like more hardball as things go on, but for like a new store, I was like, okay, sure, fine. And then right after that, I sold another plus size top to a different buyer, and that was my Jane and Delancey black sweatshirt with heart pattern in a size 2X, and that sold for $15 on Poshmark. Another bin's fine. And that took 13 days to sell once posted. It's a really cute print, a good size. It is Jane and Delancey. I want to say that's Stitch Fix, former Stitch Fix, so it's a pretty good brand, nothing too crazy. I think the Romans sold so fast because it is, you know, a better plus size brand and it has kind of the fall coloring, so it was more in season, but I guess they're both in season. There's also bigger size, the Romans. Anywho, I'm going to get into why I think things sold in a little bit as well and some of the patterns I saw, but moving onward, my 10th sale was on Friday, December 5th, so just a few days later, and those were my Print Fresh Wavy Rainbow Stripe Lounge PJ Pants, size small. The buyer offered me $25, I took it. Print Fresh is kind of a premium pajama pant, but I only had the bottoms, I didn't have the top, and frankly size small is tougher to move anyway, so I was thinking, yeah, I'll do that. And you know, I had a personal sales goal that I wanted to meet, where I wanted to make $200 on Poshmark before I got my cross-listing software and started posting to Merkari, eBay, Depop. I wanted to basically have it so I was getting some income in so that, you know, I could be guaranteed that the extra cost of the cross-listing software would do something. You know, if you're multiplying 0 by a number, it's still 0. I wanted to make sure I had steady sales, and for me, making 200 was about that point. So I was trying to make my goal here. I was getting pretty close. And then Sunday, December 7th happened. That was a really good sales day for me. I sold 3 items on Sunday, December 7th. The first was the most expensive thing that I've sold on my store so far. As of this recording, I've got offers out on lots of things, but that's another story. Those were the Wilfred Aritzia Effortless Pants, size 10 in black. Those sold for $48 and they took 11 days to sell. Now, this is funny. This took me by surprise because I had immediate interest on these pants. And I had immediate lowball offers. I got so many lowball offers on these pants. I think I had them listed for $58. Yeah, I had them listed for $58 generally. They retail for $148, and these were in great condition, a great size. And I had people sending me like $26 offers and like all kinds of different like low balls, like below half what I had for list. And it was kind of nuts actually. At a certain point I was like, did I price these wrong? So I want to tell you guys that trust your comps. When you run your comps and your sell-through rate and your numbers and they're telling you one thing, don't let the lowballers tell you or make you feel that you have overpriced something, because those comps, those sold comps, are the objective truth, and there is always going to be people who want to lowball you. And actually, the more expensive and more desirable an item is, the more likely you're going to have people who want to get it for free, because there's just more people showing up. So don't take it as a sign that it's overpriced, because I was very easily able to get a really good offer on them out for $48. I was able to get a buyer to buy them for $48. So I didn't have to accept those $20 lowball offers on these pants, okay? So that's something that I knew intellectually, but until I went through it myself, it was, you know, it's always like intellectual, right, until you do it. So that was my first sale on the 7th, on Sunday. The second sale was my Subdued Italia sweater, navy blue one size, made in Italy pullover. And that was a full price sale. I got $28 what I listed the sweater for. That only took 2 days to sell. I was thrilled. That had just come from the bins, like literally. So cool. And then my third sale that day was also very good. That was the Dolly Parton 2X graphic tee with a rainbow quote. I sold that for $12. That is also an item from the very first video on this channel where I went to the Goodwill store and I sourced items in the store. It's actually the very first item I listed on the store, and that took 27 days to sell. Okay, and just one more sale in my first 30 days. Like I said, I have a lot of pending stuff and a lot of promising stuff back and forth, but this is the last thing. That was the very next day, was Monday, December 8th. And guys, it was my first Merkari sale. This wasn't on Poshmark. So basically I made my sales goal. I was well over it, especially with that flurry of December 7th sales with the trio of sales all in one day, the Aritzia pants, all that good stuff. I downloaded Nifty and got it going and started cross-listing Monday morning. I actually kind of worked on eBay first. I didn't really get to Merkari until the afternoon. I started on Merkari about like 2 p.m. or so my time, and just did it for a couple hours. I just popped up all my graphic tees because I heard the graphic tees did really well in Merkari. I just popped them up and cross-listed them, and then I got off work and I was like hanging out with my husband eating dinner, so I actually fell asleep cuddling with him, and I woke up and I had a sale on my phone. I was like, what the heck? It just took maybe 3 hours to sell, and it was the Mac DeMarco Japanese graphic tee, and it sold for 28 bucks, full price. It took 0 days to sell, just a few hours. That is a new record for me. Also my first Merkari sale. It was nice because it let me know, okay, Nifty's gonna be worth it for you for the cross posting. So I was pretty happy with that. The other nice thing about the sale on Merkari is Merkari charges fewer sales fees than Posh. I believe it's 10%. There might be another fee. I'll have to look. It's more like 10% and Posh is like 20%. As far as I know, I'll double check. But so my take home for that was a lot higher. So if I look at what I actually got after fees, we could do that. Because what I sold things for and what I got after fees and the shipping discounts, I did different stories, which you will find out if you get into this business. But let me find my money. Where's my money? So my total for my first month on Poshmark, my actual take home from all of it, after fees and shipping discounts, was $240.85. And on Merkari, I received $24.41 for that Mac DeMarco tee after the fees were taken out. This means my grand total for the first month as a reseller was $265.26. I feel fantastic about that, to be honest. It is a great feeling. So yeah, let me just talk really quick about some of the stuff that I noticed. So just looking at what sold, I had some really good statement pieces. So the bucket hat and the chocolate cherry shoes had really funky novelty prints. Actually, same thing goes really with the heart pattern sweatshirt and the rainbow lounge pants. Those were all things that had really fun novelty prints that were fun and funky. I had some luck in plus size, as we were saying. I had a couple of plus size tops sell. Shapewear was really good sell. I hear that can sell really quick when you have a buyer for that. It was plus size shapewear. I also had a couple of novelty items. So I had the Biggie Smalls shirt, the Dolly Parton shirt, and the Mac DeMarco graphic Japanese shirt. Those were things where people were really connected to the figure, the person, you know, a lot of times a band. That could do really well. So, you know, Chico's, I've heard, is really, their buyer base is really loyal on Poshmark. So the fact that I could sell a pair of pants really quickly was great and not entirely unexpected. I will say that a size 1 which is kind of corresponding to a medium, is kind of on the smaller side. It's not a Chico size 0, which is very, very hard to sell, but it sells a lot more slowly than a 2 or a 3, which is the large or the extra large on Chico. So I was very pleased to be able to sell that. The Italia sweater, I kind of bought that on Vibes, but the Made in Italy was a nice indicator to me. Frankly, I sold all over the board. I had the one hat. I sold three pairs of shoes. It'll be interesting as we go forward. The more that I get, the more patterns I can see, but I basically followed the advice that was given to me. These were all categories that I was told to watch out for, and indeed, those are what sold. All my sales weren't clustered in one category, so that also kind of helps me understand that my taste is pretty good and that I'm sourcing well, because it isn't like I can only sell shoes or I can only sell hats or whatever. So yeah, it was a pretty good smattering. I'm excited to see what the next month brings. It's actually very exciting, looking forward to month 2. I actually have my Merkari app, my eBay, and my Depop. They're all in various states. Merkari actually locks you to 100 listings until your first sale completes, and actually the buyer has to get it and receive it and everything. Like my sale is on the way, but it hasn't completed yet. So I'm locked at the 100 Merkari listings. I only learned about it because it wouldn't let me post anymore. That's how motivated I was. I have 60 something listings on eBay and about 30 on Depop. I'm kind of going through and cross-posting what will do best on each platform, at least from what I was told. So yeah, I tell you, it's just starting to pick up. My Poshmark closet now has over 300 listings. On Poshmark, closet size is a really big help with the algorithm and with getting steady sales. So getting my listings up has been a big priority. It's really interesting now to go and cross-post everything, because I don't have to, photograph, and I don't have to measure, but I also have to kind of adapt it for each platform. And with eBay and Merkari, like shipping weight and dimensions and stuff matter differently, especially with eBay. You can have things that are crazy oversized on there, and you got to be careful, but I'm figuring out one step at a time. So that's my first month. Yeah, totally pleased, really excited. We'll see what happens next month. I'll have something to compare it to. It's tough when you're new because you have nothing to compare it to, but I was really worried I would sell nothing. So 13 sales on Posh, 1 on Merkari, 14 sales total. So that's wonderful, that's wonderful. Anyway, it's been great talking to you as always. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.